What's going on, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists? Welcome to this Resident Evil 2, the board game tutorial. Again, I will state, it's not so much a tutorial as just how to paint something up quickly, how I paint mine up quickly. Today we're focusing on Robert Kendo, which I think is the gun shop owner at the start of the game. He dies very quickly in the video game, if it's the one I'm thinking about, but you know, if not, just let me know in the comments below. There he is. He's all primed, of course. So starting with the skin as usual, I'm going in with Guilliman Flesh by Citadel contrast paints. I've been doing a lot of contrast paints with these. I'll call them tutorials, but you know, I don't view them completely that way. So we're just popping some Guilliman Flesh onto him here. As you can see, not that fussed about mold lines either. I'm not on a board game. No, he doesn't have an awful lot of flesh, just his arms and face, so we'll get those done. I think we'll be using some more conventional paints on him too, so just make sure I go all around with the Guilliman Flesh here. I don't want to miss anything, and this is really the first colour you use on a model. You can afford to be, you know, not as fussy about where the paint lands. Just making sure it goes everywhere you want. You can clean up later. I think we're pretty much there. Right, okay, so once that's done, of course, just wait for that to dry, and then we can come in with our next colour. Okay, we're going white with our next colour, and I'm using Game Colour Dead White by Vallejo, and with this I'm going to use it on his shirt, so that's what I'm going to do. Right now, I suppose in hindsight I should have waited for him to dry a little more, but I can't really because I used this paint in on another miniature, and it's not a wet palette, so when I use it up, it's gotta be white anyway. Well, it doesn't have to be, but I want to stick. When it comes to characters, I kind of like to stick a little bit to the artwork that, you know, that complements them, and that way it's kind of easier, even on a subconscious level, to relate to the model you're using to represent you in the game. So if you're playing Robert Kendo and you're using his miniature, you every time you look at your card, for instance, with your health and whatever else on, you think, yeah, it's immediately relatable to Robert Kendo. That's how his artwork is depicted. Sorry, that's what colour he's in, and it just makes a whole lot more sense to you. Well, it does to me. So that's what I like to do. So this is why he's having a white shirt for the most part. Here I'm gonna have to come in with a bit that isn't fully dry, put a bit of tissue on it, dry it off. The beauty with contrast is if you're doing contrast, and I'm not saying this was the case here, but if you're using contrast in a very, very controlled manner, i.e., you know, you're being very selective about where precisely you're putting the paint tends to dry very quickly, as opposed to if you just blob it on like a wash, it doesn't dry very quickly at all. So I'm going to put the white on this, which will be like bandages, or like a wrist band, makeshift bandage. It could be, whatever you want it to be. So Robert Kendo. I have a feeling I might like him in this game. Not sure. I have no idea why. I don't know anything about him stats wise or how he plays. I just got a good feeling about him. Might have to have some wash on at a later point. For now, just trying to make sure I get all the areas that I need to. Right, there he is. So we'll wait for him to dry this time before we come on with another colour. I'm looking at him wondering what we should do next, and I'm thinking we'll do probably his trousers next, but yeah, wait for that to dry. I have decided upon using Blood Tracker Brown by P3 for his trousers and braces. I think that will go quite well, so that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using it straight from the pot, I think, because P3 is notoriously a lot thinner than your average paint, so I'm going to be doing that. So I'm going to be obviously painting the braces up here like so, and I shall be painting the trousers as well. So I'll come back when that's all done and we'll move on to the next stage. Now that is thoroughly dry. You can see it kind of looks like an all-in-one, but I want his braces to match his trousers. I just do. I wanted to have some sort of matching clothing there. He's a bit snazzy, Mr. Kendo, or at least mine is. But I'm going in with Umbral Umber from P3 now. Darker brown for his boots, and a couple of places on the braces, which I will show you. Again, straight from the pot, because it's a P3 paint and it's nice and thin. It's probably the consistency that you'd thin your paints down to ordinarily. So I can get this right on the camera. So I'll do the boots like so. Umber goes on very. It's actually very, very reminiscent of Rhinox Hide from Citadel. So either of those, I would have used that had I found that first. I would have used that, but my hands are lighted on this first, so this is the one. And of course I will be using washes later to bring out some more detail. It's got a little bit more detail than some of them. They're okay. The models for Resident Evil, they're okay. You know, they're not, like I've said before, they're not CMON standard. Right, on the back, just this little patch here. Yeah, they're not CMON standard, but they're okay. They're adequate. They're quite adequate. There's pockets here too. Going in with a little bit more detail there. So we'll wait for that to dry, and then we'll come back with the next stage. Okay, now I'm going to put a shade wash on because it takes a little while to dry. I'm going to shade wash Agrex Earth shade. I know there's not much left in that pot, but there's just a tiny little bit in the bottom, more than enough for me to do what I need to do here. So just come in and just slap it on over the trousers and the boots, and that can then start drying. also this little bandage thing he's got going on his wrist here. I think that would look good. There as well. So just do that, and we're ready to go for our next stage. So wait for that to dry, and then we'll come back. Right, next I'm coming in with the Zombicide Dead Black. I mean, any black will do, as long as it's jet black. I want, at least if you want to do it this way, because I'm wanting jet black for his hair. I want him to be fairly young, not young, but not old, if you know what I mean. So seasoned, but not yet old. Robert Kendo, because I mean, like I said, I don't know anything about them stats wise, but I mean, it could turn out there's no difference between them, and they're just, this is just aesthetics. In which case, you know, it isn't going to matter anyway. But yeah, I just the way I want him to look. That was slightly more youthful appearance. Yeah, that's good. That works for me. That does. It really does. Excellent. Okay then. Now, is there anything else? See, you can just about make out the handle. I'll have to come back in and retouch up his hair. But you can just about make out the handle of the gun. That's got a big blob I touched with my hand there. There. Correcting it as I go. Look at that. There we are. Okay, so that's the hair. And next on our agenda is another black, but Corvus black. So it's a grey liner really, or a black grey. If you've got anything like that, you can use it. It makes a good gun barrels and things like that. So I'm going to use this on the actual gun here, and I will probably come in at a later point and do separate parts on it, but for now just paint the whole thing in Corvus black. That way it's got a consistency to it. On a good coverage. And also if there's parts of it you want, say for instance a more metallic look, if you miss any parts it won't look out of place because you've painted the main part of the gun, and it, like I say, and it does not look out of place. It looks quite good, in fact. It looks quite good. Couple of areas to get to. Not going to kill ourselves trying to get all the areas, but that's pretty darn good if I do say so myself. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. Okay, so that's that done. Well, coming back to a black. This time we are going with Abaddon black for the base, purely because I've used Abaddon black on the other bases, so it's got nothing to do with, I mean, I'm sure you probably wouldn't even tell the difference, but you know, just for consistency's sake, I'm using it on this one as well. And I thinned it down because I just want, I don't, on some of the zombie ones I've left it thick so to have a little bit of texture to it, but end of the day it's not going to matter because the plain board pieces are dark, so this will just blend it in nicely on the board. There we are. So we've got Gunmetal by Game Color, and one drop of airbrush thinner, which I always use to thin down my metallics. Now there's hardly anything to do on here. You can still see the paint is wet from other previous steps. I'm going to put the band around his gun here, which I'm just going to paint there. Subtle detail. Yeah, I've got more detail on him, I guess. After all my talk about board game pieces. But it's still really not that much. Just a little bit. And of course the trigger is another area I want to be silver here. Front of his trousers here, like a sort of popper. And a couple on the back here. Yeah, like so. And that is going to do it. I'm not going to paint any. I was thinking initially about coming in with an apothecary white to like shade in his t-shirt or his shirt, but I'm not going to, because I want him to remain really bright for the board game as a player character, and that's him. So all I will do is I'll wait for that to dry, and then I'll come in. Actually, I'll do it now, because I'll make this the last one. So a couple areas just touching up, coming in with Gilliman flesh, like so. And there's a place on his neck, which just there, which is all nicely done now. So that's that. And under the arm, I just wanted to catch up with the Gilliman flesh. Wait for that to dry, shade wash, job done. And that's that. Thanks ever so much for watching. Remember, all brushes lead to war, and I'll see you on another video. Getting through them now. Right, getting exciting. Bye for now. Bye bye.